Anderson Cooper, one of the most recognizable names in news, is known for his sharp reporting and his compelling interviews. But behind the calm demeanor and professional career lies an intriguing story about his upbringing. From his famous family roots to his early challenges, Anderson's journey to becoming one of America's top journalists is far from typical. Let's take a deeper look at his formative years and how they shaped him into the person we know today. Before we dive into video, subscribe our channel, please support us. Your support is very important for us. Family background. Anderson Cooper's family background played a significant role in shaping who he became as a person and journalist. Born into a prominent and wealthy family, Anderson was the son of Gloria Vanderbilt, a renowned fashion icon and socialite, and Wyatt Cooper, a respected writer. Gloria Vanderbilt was known not just for her fashion designs, but also for her legacy as an heiress to the Vanderbilt fortune, which added another layer of attention to Anderson's upbringing. The Vanderbilt family was one of America's wealthiest and most socially influential families, known for their long-standing presence in New York high society. From an early age, Anderson's life was filled with privilege. He was born in New York City in 1967, a place where the world of fashion, art, and media converged. Growing up in such an environment meant that Anderson was no stranger to fame, luxury, and the attention that comes with being part of such a well-known family. Despite being surrounded by wealth and fame, Anderson was not someone who would use his background as a stepping stone to fame in the traditional sense. In fact, as a child, Anderson was more often seen as the quiet one in the family, preferring to stay out of the spotlight. His mother, Gloria, was a figure who was often in the media herself, but her life wasn't without its own share of struggles. She was a woman who had faced significant hardships, such as the loss of her first husband, which affected her greatly, but she continued to build a career in fashion and art. Anderson grew up observing his mother's resilience and strength, and this undoubtedly had an impact on his own approach to life. The environment at home wasn't just about wealth and luxury. It also provided him with the lessons of overcoming personal challenges and the importance of maintaining dignity in the public eye. Wyatt Cooper, Anderson's father, was also an important influence in his life. Wyatt was a writer and a television personality. He was known for his intellectual pursuits and his ability to engage with complex social issues, which likely contributed to Anderson's later career in journalism. Unlike many families in the spotlight, Anderson's family was close-knit and supportive. They encouraged him to pursue his passions, even though Anderson's ambitions were very different from the entertainment-driven world his mother was a part of. As a child, Anderson was encouraged to explore various fields, including his interest in art and photography. His parents did not push him into a traditional path of family wealth and prestige, but instead, they supported his natural curiosity. Growing up in such a unique and complicated family situation meant that Anderson had to deal with the contrasting worlds of wealth and public attention, while also being part of a family that had a more private side. His mother's fame and his father's intellectual background created an environment that taught him to balance his own ambitions with his family's legacy. Anderson was exposed to both the glamorous world of high society and the more grounded, intellectual world of his father. These two worlds shaped his personality and set the stage for his career, where he could later adapt the skills of both understanding the public eye and maintaining an intellectual approach to his work. In many ways, Anderson's family background prepared him for the public spotlight. While his mother's legacy as a socialite and fashion icon placed a target on his back as the son of a famous woman, it was his father's intellectual influence that helped Anderson approach his future career with a sense of purpose and integrity. Anderson was able to combine his upbringing in a high-profile family with his father's intellectual values, creating a foundation that would serve him well in his career as a journalist. His family's influence was subtle yet powerful, shaping his view of the world and inspiring him to become a journalist who wasn't afraid to address the tough stories, especially in the context of world events and personal tragedies. Growing up with such strong influences in his family life didn't just make Anderson Cooper a familiar name. It gave him the foundation to become the respected journalist and media figure he is today. His family background was not just a story of wealth or fame, but one of resilience, learning, and the importance of using one's position in life for a meaningful purpose. Early tragedy. Anderson Cooper's early life was marked by profound tragedy, which deeply shaped his character and his perspective on life. At the age of 10, he faced the death of his father, Wyatt Cooper. His father, a writer and television personality, passed away after a complicated heart surgery. The loss of his father at such a young age had a lasting emotional impact on Anderson. Growing up in a family with immense public visibility, he was not only dealing with the grief of losing his father, but also facing it under the watchful eyes of the public. It was a personal experience that would mark the beginning of many difficult years for him. The passing of his father left Anderson with a profound sense of loss, but it was also an experience that taught him resilience. His mother, Gloria Vanderbilt, had already been through many personal struggles in her own life, and she became a pillar of strength for Anderson in the aftermath of his father's death. Even though Anderson was just a child, he learned early on how to deal with loss and how to persevere in the face of grief. The love and support of his mother played a significant role in helping him cope with the emotional challenges that followed. However, the most devastating loss for Anderson came later in his life, when his older brother, Carter Cooper, tragically took his own life when Anderson was 21 years old. Carter's death was a shock to Anderson, who had always been close to him. Carter's suicide was particularly heartbreaking for Anderson, as it occurred after years of struggling with personal demons, but it was a tragedy that left an indelible mark on him. Anderson often speaks about how this event changed his life and shaped his worldview. It not only affected him emotionally, but also brought a deep sense of empathy and understanding toward others who had experienced similar tragedies. The death of his brother Carter added to the pain Anderson had already faced, but it also strengthened his determination to live life with a sense of purpose. It became clear that Anderson's approach to life was profoundly affected by these experiences with loss. He understood the fragility of life and the emotional weight that accompanies the loss of loved ones. As a journalist, this personal understanding gave him a unique perspective when covering stories of human suffering, conflict, and tragedy. He didn't just report on events from a distance. He understood the emotional impact these events could have on individuals and families. In the aftermath of his father's death and his brother's suicide, Anderson also became much more private about his personal life. While he is an open and public figure in his professional career, he has always been guarded about his personal experiences, especially when it comes to family matters. He learned the importance of privacy and maintaining boundaries, especially in the wake of tragedies that had left him emotionally scarred. Despite the public interest in his life, Anderson's ability to keep certain aspects of his life private reflects the lessons he learned through his early losses. Through these early experiences of loss, Anderson Cooper developed a deep sense of empathy, a characteristic that became central to his approach as a journalist. His ability to connect with people on a human level and understand the emotional weight of their stories made him stand out in the world of journalism. The tragedies in his early life, while deeply painful, gave Anderson the emotional intelligence and resilience needed to navigate his career in the public eye. These losses taught him how to balance the personal and professional, how to be vulnerable in the face of hardship, and, most importantly, how to honor the memory of those he loved through the work he chose to do. Anderson often refers to his family tragedies as life-changing moments that gave him a deeper understanding of life's complexities. While it was undoubtedly a painful chapter, these events helped to shape his identity and his approach to the world, making him a more compassionate and insightful journalist. The early losses in Anderson Cooper's life weren't just obstacles to overcome, they were transformative experiences that informed the man and the journalist he would eventually become. Education. Anderson Cooper's educational journey was a crucial part of his development, both personally and professionally. He attended Yale University, one of the most prestigious institutions in the United States, where he earned his degree in political science. Yale, with its rigorous academic environment, exposed Anderson to a wide range of ideas, philosophies, and debates, all of which would shape his later work as a journalist. Though Anderson initially showed interest in pursuing a career in the arts, his studies in political science gave him a solid foundation in understanding the world of politics, government, and international relations. At Yale, Anderson was not just a passive student. He was actively involved in campus life and took advantage of every opportunity to expand his knowledge. His time at the university helped him develop his critical thinking skills, and he learned how to approach complex issues with a clear and informed perspective. He was also part of the university's media outlets, where he began to hone his communication skills, further reinforcing his growing interest in the media industry. His academic experience at Yale played a significant role in shaping his career, giving him the tools and the knowledge to later take on the challenges of being a global news anchor. Despite being part of such an intellectually stimulating environment, Anderson's time at Yale was also marked by personal struggles. He had already endured the emotional pain of losing his father and later his brother, and these experiences deeply affected his time at university. In interviews, Anderson has admitted that his time at Yale allowed him to focus on something other than his grief, but it also forced him to confront the emotional scars that he carried with him. The combination of academic pressure and personal loss made his years at Yale complex, but also crucial in shaping the resilient individual that Anderson would become. During his college years, Anderson also became deeply interested in the world of journalism, even though he initially did not consider it as a career path. His exposure to media and journalism at Yale fueled his passion for reporting, but it was his personal experiences and the political climate of the time that pushed him toward the media industry. The world events unfolding during his time at Yale, particularly the rise of news networks and the evolving nature of media, played a significant role in influencing his decision to pursue journalism professionally. His college years were formative in another way. They allowed him to discover his voice. Although Anderson had always been aware of the influence of his family and their media presence, it was at Yale that he began to develop a deeper understanding of how to make his own impact in the world. Anderson's education gave him the opportunity to step away from the shadow of his famous family and pursue a career based on his own merits and interests. This period of self-discovery was critical to his decision to enter the world of journalism. After graduation, Anderson made a decisive break from the traditional route that many of his peers might have taken. Instead of settling into a career that was defined by his family's wealth and status, he pursued a career in media and journalism on his own terms. His time at Yale had given him not only the academic tools to succeed, but also the emotional resilience to forge his own path, away from the expectations placed on him by his family's legacy. His education at Yale, combined with the life lessons he learned during his upbringing, set Anderson on the course to becoming one of the most respected journalists in the world. The combination of political science and real-world experiences prepared him to understand the complex issues he would later face in his career. His academic years were the beginning of his journey into journalism, but they also helped him define his personal values, his professional approach, and his commitment to honest and impactful reporting. Anderson's time at Yale was not just about gaining a degree, it was about building the foundation for a career that would allow him to connect with people, share their stories, and make a difference in the world. Anderson Cooper's early exposure to media played a significant role in shaping his career path. Growing up in a family that was deeply intertwined with the media world, Anderson was no stranger to television and public attention. His mother, Gloria Vanderbilt, was a well-known socialite, fashion icon, and heiress, frequently in the media spotlight herself. As a result, Anderson's childhood was often spent in the company of photographers, reporters, and other members of the press. Despite his family's public presence, Anderson was initially not drawn to the spotlight, but found himself naturally gravitating towards the world of media as he grew older. From an early age, Anderson was exposed to television production, interviews, and the dynamics of the media world, thanks to his mother's involvement in high society and her occasional media appearances. However, it wasn't just the glamorous side of the media world that Anderson witnessed. He was also exposed to its more serious aspects, such as news reporting and the way journalists shaped public opinion. These early experiences with both the public and private sides of the media industry likely sparked his interest in pursuing a career in journalism, albeit with a desire to approach it from a more professional and impactful angle. One of Anderson's most significant early media experiences was appearing on television alongside his mother. As a teenager, he made several appearances on programs with Gloria, where he learned the art of public speaking and presentation. Though these early appearances were more focused on his mother's life and work, they gave Anderson a taste of what it meant to be in front of a camera. Despite the fact that he did not immediately decide to pursue a career in media, these formative experiences made Anderson more comfortable with the idea of being on camera and helped develop his skills in communication and public speaking. In his later years, Anderson began to fully realize the potential of media as a platform for meaningful work. Instead of following the glamorous path of celebrity culture that his family was part of, he became increasingly focused on the power of journalism as a tool for telling important stories. His early exposure to both entertainment and news reporting led him to pursue a career in journalism, with the aim of using the media to inform and engage the public on significant issues. This shift in his perspective allowed him to carve out a career in a field that, while related to his early experiences with media, was more focused on the substance of reporting rather than the style. Anderson's initial entry into the world of journalism came with a determination to avoid relying solely on his family name. Although he had the potential to enter the world of media because of his connections and background, he chose a different path, one that required him to prove his abilities and build his career from the ground up. His early experiences in media gave him a unique vantage point, and he learned how to navigate the complex and sometimes contradictory worlds of fame, news, and public perception. Rather than viewing his family connections as an advantage, Anderson approached the media world with a sense of humility, eager to prove himself based on his own skills and abilities. The transition from a family closely associated with the entertainment world to a professional journalist was not easy for Anderson. He made his early steps into journalism by reporting on the streets, covering hard news stories, and working his way up. His background, however, provided him with a foundation in communication and media, which helped him excel in his chosen field. Anderson's experience in front of the camera, coupled with his growing interest in global affairs, led him to take on assignments in challenging locations around the world, including war zones and places of conflict. His background in media, which initially made him familiar with the world of fame and public attention, became an asset in his transition to becoming a respected journalist with a deep commitment to covering important stories. In sum, Anderson's early exposure to media gave him a strong foundation in communication, but it was his personal drive and interest in meaningful journalism that set him apart. His family's background may have opened doors for him, but it was his determination to carve out his own identity in the world of media that led to his success. His upbringing in a media-centric environment allowed him to develop a comfort level in front of the camera and an understanding of the power of media in shaping public discourse, both of which played an essential role in his career as one of the most well-known journalists in the world. In conclusion, Anderson Cooper's journey from a privileged upbringing to becoming one of the most respected journalists in the world is a testament to his resilience, empathy, and dedication to honest reporting. His early life, shaped by personal tragedies and a family legacy tied to the media, prepared him for the challenges ahead. Anderson's educational background at Yale, combined with his early exposure to media, gave him the tools to succeed. However, it was his decision to dive into the front lines of conflict and report from war zones that truly defined his career. These experiences allowed him to connect deeply with human suffering, making his journalism both impactful and meaningful. Today, Anderson Cooper stands as a symbol of integrity in journalism, known for his commitment to telling stories that matter.